Got some Mercedes Sprinter 3500 wheels here we want to show to you. One of our more popular items, a lot of camper chassis obviously, built on that Mercedes 3500 dually. Freightliner also makes a Sprinter, Dodge, some older ones. So any of the Sprinter dual rear wheel chassis, 6 lugs, these wheels will work for. So we've got a couple different ones we can kind of compare here. First, we've got the Alcoa. This is kind of the bread and butter for that chassis if you're upgrading from the stock steel wheels. And the Northstar over here. We'll kind of talk about the Alcoa first. So the Alcoa is going to come with the Alcoa Durabright protective finish. So if you're to compare the two wheels side by side, the Northstar is going to be bare aluminum, but that Alcoa is going to be that Durabright finish where you just hose it off with like a light soap and water. If you're camping, traveling, whatever, you don't have to spend a lot of time, cleaning them up, polishing them. You can just spray them down with a little light soap, hose them off, and they're going to keep this nice shine for years to come. So the Northstar is going to be a bare aluminum. So it's going to be a little shinier out of the box, but over time it will kind of oxidize. So you may every couple years have to rebuff them up with a little polish and a soft cloth to keep that shine, coming through.
Just like most wheels.
Most wheels are going to be a bare aluminum. So what we've got here, both are going to be a 16-inch by 5.5 wide. So the Sprinter chassis use a variety of tires, and anywhere from a 195, 205, maybe a 215. That's going to accommodate all those tires. This is a stock 16 by 5.5. The Alcoa you're going to see has a little different design that they do on the Sprinter wheels. It's kind of it's more of a squared oval, if you will. So it's an elongated, kind of rectangular hole. The Northstar will have kind of a classic round hole look. And then one of the other differences you're going to see, and this is for mounting purposes, the disc face on the Northstar is going to be a little thicker. So you're going to be at a 3,000 pound load capacity on the Northstar versus a 2380 on the Alcoa, because the Alcoa uses a different aluminum alloy where you can make the disc face a little thinner and keep the strength. So this is plenty of capacity for the GVW of the chassis. The Northstar is just a little beefed up a little bit here in the disc face to get that extra capacity. But what the Alcoa wheel can do that the Northstar can't is you can run it in all 6 positions. So if you do want to run aluminum all the way around, save a little weight, maybe you're having some balance issues with the steel wheels. A lot of reasons to get rid of the steel wheels. With the Alcoas, you can do all 6 aluminum. There are different finishes. The front, Alcoa only polishes one side or the other, so you would get 2 front Durabright, 2 rear Durabright, and then they make a machine finish version that you would put on the inside. So with this thin disc face, it allows you to run all 6 aluminum wheels with no stud length issue. You'll notice on the Northstar, the bolt holes are a little bigger. The reason for that is with that little thicker disc, we can't always guarantee how much stud length these Sprinter chassis will have. So we use a shank nut with a washer. So that way if you do have a little shorter stud, that shank will go down into the bolt hole, grab a little more stud, and make sure you have enough stud engagement, thread engagement to stay safe. So the Northstar will use a chrome shank nut with a washer. The Alcoa wheels will use just a black steel or a zinc coated just 2-piece flange nut, and then you'll put a stainless nut cover over the top. So some slight mounting differences, but they're both going to be hub centric, which is kind of the most important part. The weight and centering is all done on the hub. The other thing that people really like about the moving up to an aluminum wheel, and this is maybe a reason to get all 6 aluminum, but the steel wheels can bend. They usually use a rubber, cheaper valve stem. So with both of these packages, we sell a valve, we call it a valve extension kit. But what that will do is allow you to put a new metal valve in your inner wheel. And So let's say, for instance, this was it's going to look better here on the back side, but let's say this was an outer rear. Yours would come polished, obviously, but with the valve extension kit, you would have a new metal valve that would come all the way through and stick through one of the holes, and it would come with a rubber grommet. It's called a stabilizer to keep that valve, from bouncing around in there, and you'd be able to air up from the outside all 6 positions. So that's something that people really like. When you upgrade to the aluminum wheels, you get that valve extension kit. We find one of the biggest reasons people upgrade to these aluminum wheels for their Sprinter chassis is because, like I said, those steel wheels have a rubber, kind of cheaper valve stem, and they'll lose air. Also, if you have simulators covering up those steel wheels, those simulators can kind of shift over time, and if you have a braided valve extension coming through, it can actually cut that. So air issues are a big reason why people switch to the aluminum wheels, and having that extension does give a little peace of mind, but really just switching to a metal stem keeps it from leaking. So even now that you have this extension, hopefully you won't have to use it as much because it just won't be leaking. So hopefully that's a good rundown of the Sprinter. And again, these are for dual rear wheels. These aren't for your 2500 single chassis, just your 3500 dual rear wheel chassis, 16 by 5.5. We've got Alcoa, obviously top of the line with the Durabrite. This can come in either a 4 or a 6 wheel package, or you can go, if you're a little more budget conscious, go with that Northstar 4-wheel kit. Obviously both fully forged aluminum, made to a very tight spec. We're sure you're going to be happy with either one on your Sprinter chassis.